Hello Momet friends, Andang here for another episode of the Battle of the Black Gate. When we last left off, we finished the Slag Hills and the resource dungeons, which were alright, but I'm really excited to be going into Daggerlad. I have a feeling that's where the main meat of the side quest is, and I've heard a lot of really good things, so let's get this started. What have you learned of the Orcs' plans, Andang? Were you able to recover any orders from them? You show Leglaw the orders, but his face twists in concentration when he sees the phrase in the black speech. Our foes to the north are great in numbers we expected, but I am left with more questions. The identity of this bloodletter is unknown to us. They also have many unfortunate prisoners in their keeping, but we do not know what or where this Faltor Sheik could be. It troubles me, my friend. Much of this writing is in Westron. For what purpose is a single phrase in the tongue of the Orcs? I assumed that bringing along a lore master such as Atamir might have been a great help to us for such a chance find, but the man seems repulsed by the mere mention of the black speech. The poor fellow should have stayed back in Herondir. It seems Mendal was wise to ask for Mechcham's hand after all. The ranger is well learned in the languages of the enemy. Bring this missive to Mecham and see what he can make of it. Alright, let's talk to a useful ranger this time. What is this missive you bear? You explain to Mecham that you have need of his knowledge of the black speech once more. He takes the orders from you and begins to read it. When he reaches the phrase in the black speech, he suddenly halts. By my reading of these orders, I understand Ondnir's Folly and Falor Sheik to be the very same, and it seems the Orcs have made something far worse of that hill than a mere strategic holding. That phrase, Faltor Sheik, it means the Fane of Screaming. Such a name. It affords a new significance to the grim structures that tower over the hill. It is not merely an orcish encampment, my friend, but a temple of slaughter. My gosh. Dang. The Fane of Screaming. What a vile name for a place of such sorrow for the people of Gondor. I have heard tales told by Aragorn of a king of old, Ondahir, and the fate that travelled far to meet him in these lands. I believe that this is a tale better told by Atamir, and in less pressing times. Suffice it to say, a king of Númenórean blood laid low by the enemy's servants is not soon to be forgotten. They have twisted the loss of Gondor into a monument to their own master. It is clear that these Orcs have defiled that hill, and I fear many of the Dark Lord's prisoners have met their end on its summit, and without the mercy of a swift death. Even in wartime, and with a great battle looming, I cannot abandon those that still remain to such a fate. I could not forgive myself for turning away from their pain, Andang. And I believe Aragorn would consider this the proper course as well. Travel to Ondnir's Folly, and free all the prisoners you can find. I shall keep watch for your return, my friend. Okay, so this is about to get super dark, I have a feeling. I mean, that is just really creepy. Looks like this guy has another quest now.
We must forge ahead!
What did the ranger make of that missive, Andang? You inform Leglaw that Faltor Sheik translates to the Fane of Screaming, and what Mecham takes that to mean. His face is aghast for a moment, but he is able to summon his words once more. The Fane of Screaming. Is this truly the name that they have bestowed upon the site of our king's fall? If the Orcs sought to provoke us through insults, I shall let them consider this a victory, but it will be their last. It has been long since we moved against the Orcs in the Waste directly, and I believe it likely an assault would catch them by surprise. I no longer doubt your place among the Rangers, my friend, for you have done much to aid my company, and I trust that you would do so again. For the sake of our king's memory, and for the fallen, ride to Omnir's Folly and put an end to those orcs. The FANE of Screaming. Alright, that is a quest. Let's go and complete it. Oh, sure, let's just go right in the front gate of the crazy, creepy torture camp of the orcs. Yeah, this sounds like a great idea. Yes, let's destroy the banners of the eye. As you enter Omnir's Folly, you hear the familiar rustling of coarse cloth in the wind. The orcs of Omnir's Folly have erected many banners in tribute to the Dark Lord. Standing beneath this grim heraldry, you feel the eye of the enemy fixed upon you, and suddenly the weight of your cause at once feels more burdensome. You think it wise to burn these banners you have discovered, so the orcs might falter in their absence. Okay, instantly combusts when we finish reading. When the announcer guy finishes speaking. Okay. So, I can't even imagine what Mordor is going to be like if the place outside of Mordor is as bad as this place, with all of the crazy torture camps and the huge amount of bones that are beneath the Black Gate. I mean, it's just a really creepy place here, and I can't even imagine what's in store with us for the Mordor expansion. An acrid scent permeates the air as you explore Omnir's Folly. The orcs of Mordor have seemingly left the remains of their sacrifices strewn about the encampment to rot. A burial within the lands of the enemies seems an unlikely task, so you resolve to burn the dead before the orcs can further dishonor them. Well, that is incredibly dark. Good grief. Okay, this is a guy that got taken prisoner. Let's free him. I can still hear their screams. I must get out of here. As you explore Omnir's Folly, an unusual sight drifts into view. In the distance, the shifting shade of a Gondorian warrior floats around the Temple Hill, seemingly beneath the notice of all enemy orcs of Mordor. It is unclear if this shade is a cursed man of Gondor, or a fell spirit holding a form familiar to you, but something compels you to investigate. Here we go into this crazy, creepy place. Dang, they got whips and everything. That is messed up. Oh my gosh. This is messed up. Dang. I mean, seriously, what is Mordor gonna be like? It was a sorry fate that befell those slain at Omnir's Folly. but no longer can the orcs of Mordor defile and mock them in death. Dang. My suffering is finally over. I thought none would come for me. Unreal. Although burning the enemy's banner can do little to avenge the fallen at Ontir's folly, it serves to loosen the Dark Lord's grip on the lands beyond Mordor. By weakening the enemy resolve, the orcs of Mordor may pose less of a threat to the host of the West when the battle is finally joined. You approach the Shade and attempt to speak with him, but it does not respond. His gaze remains fixed directly ahead of him, and he almost seems unaware of your presence. Amid the sounds of nearby orcs, the Shade begins to shriek in a harsh tone.
Father, I am sorry. Forgive me, I beg of you. Brother, Artemir, do not stay silent. Father will hear your words.
Just as swiftly, the Shade falls silent again. His words still fresh in your memory, the Shade floats silently before you. The Shade wailed the name of Artemir, and spoke as if Artemir were his brother. Without pausing to consider the absurdity of what you're about to speak, you tell the Shade that a man named Artemir is among your company, in the ruins to the south. A puzzled expression washes over the Shade's face, and his gaze swiftly shifts to meet your own. However, before speaking a word, he vanishes. Okay. So that happened. You're doing a great job of vanishing, buddy. Great, great. Oh, yep, turn around. You have done well, my friend. With this accomplished, the orcs at Ontir's Folly should no longer pose a threat to the host of the West, or to any that still remain in their thrall. Let us hope it was enough, Fandang. I mean, that was dark. That was some dark stuff. You say a spirit of some kind knew my name, Fandang? Then he called out for an Artemir. I've had quite enough dealings with spirits for my liking, I'll have you know. There must be some mistake. You see, it is common in Gondor to honor our ancestors by bestowing their names upon our children, and even within Minas Tirith, I know no fewer than 2 others bearing my name. If I am recalling correctly, I even once told you of old King Ontir's son named Artemir. No, no, that man cannot be me, my friend. How long has this spirit lingered in the wastes? How many have fallen since he met his own end? Artemir begins to trail off as a look of horror appears on his face. Do not move, Fandang. The accursed warrior has appeared beside Artemir and stares intensely at the Lore Master. The Shade now stares at you, but remains silent. After a moment, he turns to Artemir and begins to speak.
Beware, the shadows of Dol are come. The Rain Riders come again to claim the vengeance on Gondor.
Wain Riders? They have not been a threat to Gondor, much less seen at all, for hundreds of years now. Perhaps this spirit has mistaken the Easterlings for the old ancestors. Else, I cannot say. To have silently watched for so long, it is possible he has lost his understanding of the passing of peoples and creatures of these lands. Artemir's face still betrays his fear, but you sense a renewed resolve rising within him. Fate and chance drove me to the Dead Marshes, and now they have guided me thus. I shall resist them no longer. I may not be the man this spirit seeks, but his knowledge of these lands and our enemies may be turned to our benefit. I believe I know this spirit's identity, my friend, but more questions still linger, and answers seem unlikely unless he and I speak alone. As I said, I have many suspicions about the identity of this spirit, but those shall remain mine alone until I learn more of this spirit's purpose. If you and the Rangers would grant me leave, I shall follow where he leads, and learn what I can of him, and his fate in the wastes. Think what he may have seen. Such experiences are beyond the life of any mortal man. Talk to Mitchum and see what he makes of this. I have heard tell he is no stranger to spirits of the dead. If he grants my request, I would ask that you, and you alone, follow us to the north after a short time. I shall speak well of you to him, and perhaps he shall be more willing to speak to you directly. That is my hope, Andeng, for safety seems so far away now, and I would much like to return to it. Ah, let us hope we have freed the last of those held in the wastes, Andeng. I mourn for those we were too late to save. But I hold hope that the Dark Lord shall soon suffer the fate he deserves for these atrocities. I do not doubt the enemy still keeps many slaves beyond the Black Gate, but we must look to the battle ahead before we can aid them. Thank you, my friend. Spirit here, in the ruins. I fear this shall not portend any good at all, and I would caution Artemir to put the safety of the host before his own misguided studies. It may be true that the spirits of the dead that followed Aragorn were honorable enough when they fulfilled their oaths, but do not forget those we lost when they felt no such duty in Volume 3. If one has been cursed by the breaking of an oath, you should not assume them a friend. We of the Grey Company have learned this all too painfully. I shall not stop him, but I hope he considers the great risk he would impose on all of our company. Michem worries the spirit might endanger the host of the West. Adamir and the accursed warrior have vanished. Alright, well I guess we'll find out what happened to them next episode. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit the like button down below. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and I'll see you again real soon for another episode of the Battle of the Black Gate.